Hello, I'm Randy here, and one of the staple items of any shop for many decades has been the impact. In this case, a good old air impact. However, in the last few years here, the old air impact, and this one isn't that old by the way, has been getting replaced by battery operated ones. In this case, we got a DeWalt battery operated one here. The disadvantage of some of these newer, and by newer everyone I don't mean newest, some of these newer battery operated ones is they don't quite have the power of the air operated ones. They are, however, very convenient. Even though like in the shop here we have an air hose readily available, we can just quick whip it down. There's something you just cannot, just the portability, just quick slap a battery on it, you're good to go. The portability of a battery operated impact. Now, in the last couple years everyone, the battery impacts have caught up to the air ones. Well, this particular one here, this is Harbor Freight. They claim 700, I believe it's 750 foot-pounds with this. This particular DeWalt one claims, I believe it's 400 or 450, something like that, 450 foot-pounds. Again, this is the older DeWalt model. They have newer ones, and of course Milwaukee has theirs as well. I'm sure everyone is probably familiar with that. Milwaukee's big ones and DeWalt's big one as well. I believe they're both right around somewhere like the 1,200 and 1,500 foot-pounds, some crazy amount of torque. Anyway, everyone, today we're not going to be looking at quite that much torque, but we are going to be looking at the Bauer heavy-duty, at least they claim, Harbor Freight, of course, for those of you not familiar with this brand, Hypermax Lithium. So it's got a lithium battery, at least it's supposed to be a lithium battery, 20 volt. The Bauer Impact sports roughly, they claim 450 foot-pounds. So it should be a relatively even comparison against the DeWalt here. We'll find out if that's the case or not. And then we'll throw it up against the old pneumatic impact here. Again, like I said, the staple of any shop for many years has been the air impact. And now, in the last few years, it's definitely getting replaced by the battery ones. Okay, well, let's pop this bad boy out of the box here. Now, I did not purchase this new, by the way. I did, well, it's supposed to be new in box, even though it is open. So hopefully it works here. Someone didn't send us a dud. We'll find out here. This particular one does not come with a battery, and I don't believe Harbor Freight offers this with a battery. So you do have to buy the battery separate. In this case, I have Bauer's 3.0 amp hour battery. And then also, just for the fun of it, everyone, we're going to try it with the 1.5 amp hour battery here as well. So if you maybe already have, say, the drill or the impact, you might already have a 1.5 amp hour battery. I'm pretty sure, everyone, you're going to need the larger battery for this impact, but we are going to test it here just to see once if it is indeed needed. Pretty sure it will be, disclaimer. And then let's look at the box here, because, you know, got to look at the Harbor Freight box. They're always good for nonsense on the back here. So we got breakaway torque 450 foot-pounds. That's their max claimed torque. I'm not sure, everyone, that I have a real reliable way of testing that, so we're just going to kind of try to put it through some real-world scenarios here, see how it does, and we'll throw it up against the old DeWalt here. 2,000 RPMs, IPM 3,300, overall length 8 7/8, weighs 4.3 pounds. So yeah, it is fairly light, everyone. Compared to the DeWalt here, the DeWalt is quite heavy. Let's see, it gets up to 50% more runtime per charge. Okay. Fuel gauge displays remaining charge. Oh, it does. I don't see a fuel gauge on here, everyone. There is on the batteries, though. And again, this does not come with a battery that I know of. I don't believe you can get this particular tool with a battery. So, what else do we got? Fast charge, 60 minutes. Again, that's got to do with the battery, so I don't know why they really put that on the box. But anyway, that is on the box there. So, let's look at the tool itself here. And just for comparison, again, this is a DeWalt's older model here, everyone, so keep in mind they do have a newer model. I believe the newer model is like shorter and, of course, has a whole lot more torque. But unfortunately, I just got the older one, which actually should be pretty good comparison against these two. So first off, yeah, that's a good, probably inch shorter, which is kind of nice. The DeWalt here is quite long. Compared to the air impact here, if I were to hold them end to end, you can see the air impact is even shorter yet. Of course, it'll be shorter even than the Bauer here. So let's slap a battery on that. Again, this is the 3.0 amp hour battery. Smell that that burning smell there. That smells good, real good. So it does have a variable speed trigger. And then your forwards and backwards right up there. Typically where most of them are. That feels pretty good. Definitely feels like it has some torque on it, everyone, when you give it a spin. You can feel it twist there. And this is what the DeWalt sounds like, by the way. And for those who wonder, by the way, I'm using a 60 volt battery. Keep in mind, just because it says 60 volt, it is only 20 volts for this tool. So this is a 20 volt tool, but I'm using this larger 60 volt batteries on it. And for those who wonder, by the way, yes, this does make a difference how much power this outputs. So maybe for fair comparison, maybe I should switch this to a 20 volt battery, so we got 20 volt to 20 volt. Because yes, the 60 volt does give this a lot more torque. Don't ask me how, everyone, but it does make a difference. Okay, everyone, so we got a gauntlet of tests lined up here, starting with our smaller tire, to a slightly larger tire, and then to a much, much larger tire. Very much doubt either of these impacts are going to get the larger tire off, but we're going to give it a try here. So like I said, we'll start with a smaller tire, see once how it does, both with the Bauer and the DeWalt, and then we'll step it up to a slightly larger tire, and so on and so forth. Okay, everyone, we're starting off with just a vehicle tire here, and this impact should be able to easily take off any tires like this on any regular vehicle. This particular vehicle here, this is a 1988 Ford Ranger. These lug nuts should be tightened down to 100 foot-pounds. And yes, everyone, I do tighten these down with a torque wrench, so they should be relatively close to that. I do not typically tighten my lug nuts with an impact. And remind me, everyone, I'll tell you a quick story about that here in a moment. So let's start off with this. We're just going to take off a couple of lug nuts here. Vehicle's not jacked up or anything, so we'll probably just like to take off 2 or 3 of them here. See once how it does. Okay, everyone, DeWalt's turn. Okay, everyone, while I tighten these lug nuts back up here, real quick story. A couple years ago, me and my dad were working out in the shop here. We noticed the lady stopped out on the road there. She was there for a few minutes, like maybe we better go check and see what's going on. So my dad walked up there. He went and looked. Got an impact here. I might as well tighten him with it. There we go. That's typically what I do, by the way. I'm going to tighten down with the impact, and then I'll get the torque here, and we'll make sure they are tightened down to 100 foot-pounds of torque. So anyway, my dad went and looked, and sure enough, she had a flat tire, something wrecked the tire. There was no fixing it, at least not on the road there. It torn a pretty good hole in it. So she was attempting to get the lug nuts off so she could change the tire out. This, I believe, was like an SUV or something along those lines. So she had a full-sized spare. My dad attempted to help her to get the lug nuts off. He was unable to do so. You know, of course, she was just using the tire iron that the vehicle came with. She couldn't get them off, so my dad tried. My dad could not get them off. He came and called me. I went and looked. I tried to get them off. I could not get them off either. It's like, well, we got a shop here. Let's go grab some tools. Went and grabbed my breaker bar, which is about the same length as my torque wrench here. I don't know, 18 inches or so. We took that down there, tried to get them off of that. Could not get them off even with that. So basically what had happened, everyone, she obviously took it to the local shop, whatever was done to her tires, changed out or whatever. They had put them back on with an impact, and well, everyone, let's just say they impacted them on, but good. They were on tighter than tight. I believe we ended up taking out a 3/4 inch drive breaker bar, and with a cheater pipe on it, and we were able to get the lug nuts off that way. But wow, everyone, just a note there, your lug nuts should never, ever be that tight. You don't want to be getting out on the road, you have something go wrong, you have to go change your tire, and you're unable to get your lug nuts off because you tighten the ever-loving crap out of them with an impact. They don't need to be that tight. Now, by the way, I don't think these impacts will go that tight, but some of the Air ones will, and obviously some of the newer, like DeWalt, Milwaukee, they'll go that tight as well, so you definitely want to watch it. That is why I always tighten back down with a torque wrench. Okay, once another, we got the lug nuts tightened back down here. Both of these did the job, as I would expect. It felt like the Bauer has a faster impact to it, and hopefully you can hear that in the video here as well. It sounds like it's impacting faster, whereas I think the DeWalt is just a little bit slower on the impact, though maybe it has a little more oomph behind the impact. I'm not entirely sure on that, but that's just kind of my assessment here so far. But I thought we'd let's do two at the same time here, so we can dual wield impacts here. Let me get these on here. And we'll try to do this at the same time. Again, these should both be tightened down to 100 foot-pounds. So on our count, 3, 2, 1. Bauer did it, everyone. The Bauer beat the DeWalt. Wow. Again, it feels like the Bauer is impacting faster. And real quick here, everyone, I'm going to switch out to the 1.5 amp hour battery here. We're just going to see once if this makes much, if any, difference at all. I'm going to assume it probably is going to make a little bit, but that still took it off pretty good yet. Oh boy, we're bleeding. That equals ratings, right? Just out of curiosity, I'm going to switch back to, it looks like it's about torque out here, everyone. It's not really turning. I'm going to switch back to the other battery, see once if it'll torque anymore. And now we got the 3.0 amp hour battery. Let me turn this up so we can actually see the hole there. And notice before it wasn't really turning much, so oh yeah, I can feel it, everyone. I can feel it. It's got more torque with a 3.0 amp hour battery, which doesn't surprise me. Okay, everyone, enough of messing up the lug nuts on my truck here. Let's step this up to a little bit bigger piece of equipment here. We got a 7/8 socket on here now, and I'd like to say these are 5/8 or 3/4. We'll figure out what they are once we get them out. And we got the 3.0 amp hour battery back on here again. Oh yeah, like nothing, like nothing. I believe that's 5/8. And then switching out to the DeWalt here. Again, everyone, it sounds like the DeWalt is hitting harder. I don't know that for a fact, but it does sound that way. Again, the DeWalt did not struggle at all here. I don't think there's any sense in even continuing on with this. Let's step it up to something even bigger yet. Okay, everyone, we've stepped it up to just a little bit larger. This is just slightly larger, and probably a little outside of the class of this particular impact, as well as the DeWalt for that matter. These particular ones are probably not necessarily for doing tires like this. This is probably more for like working, on vehicles and stuff. But doesn't mean we're not going to try this here. So we got a honking big bolt here. This takes a 1 5/16 socket. In fact, I don't even have one that fits a 1/2 inch size here, so I've got to adapt this from 1/2 to 3/4. Don't think this is going to take it out, everyone, but we're going to give it the old try, shall we say. These are supposed to be tightened down to 300 foot-pounds, but I don't have any way of measuring that. So these are tightened down to some predetermined, exactly specified foot-pound as determined by hanging on a breaker bar. So let's give it a go here. Well, everyone, I think we could continue to beat on that for a while until my hearing's gone. But that does not appear to be moving that at all, as I rather suspected. Let's try the DeWalt now. Well, everyone, the DeWalt took it out. Now, you could argue that the Bauer here did the work because we did put it on at first. So let's try one more bolt here. I'm going to put this one back in first, though, before we take out another one. Let's try taking out a fresh bolt here with the DeWalt. If it takes out a fresh bolt, and exactly how do you get 300 foot-pounds precisely, do you ask? Well, put some weight on it. There you go, 300 foot-pounds, exactly. Okay, everyone, let's give the Bauer here one more try. We're going to try it on the upper bolt here, and just so we can impact it a little bit longer here. Well, everyone, I could probably keep going, but I can already see that bolt's not going anywhere. Let's step this back up to the DeWalt and see what it can do. And now I'm cheating, by the way. I put the big 60-volt battery on here. It's turning it. Okay, everyone, now that the testing is done here on the Bauer and the DeWalt for that matter, I think we can draw some conclusions here. So first off, between clips here, I did go ahead and go look up what the exact specifications of this DeWalt are. I looked on their website. I couldn't really find a whole lot. I don't know why. So I went to the Amazon website. Amazon lists this as having 400 foot-pounds of torque. I understand that's the breakaway, and the 300 is the working torque, according to Amazon, everyone. Again, like I said, I couldn't really find it on the DeWalt website as to what it's supposed to have. I also went and looked it up on eBay as well. eBay had the same torque specs listed, and they had a picture of the box, which showed 400 foot-pounds as well. Again, to my understanding, that's the breakaway torque. I could be wrong on that, everyone, but so with that being said, this is supposed to have 450 foot-pounds of breakaway torque. I'm not sure. It doesn't really say, what the working torque is to my knowledge. The big thing I noticed is, everyone, this seems like it doesn't hit as hard, but it hits faster, which would make sense. It is, 3,300 impacts, whereas this is only 2,300. So yes, this is like 1,000 more impacts, but like I said, it doesn't seem like it's hitting as hard. And before anyone laughs at our method here of, tightening down these bolts to 300 foot-pounds, if you do the math here, everyone, tightening those down to 300 foot-pounds should be about right. We got roughly a 20-inch bar we're tightening them with. I don't quite weigh 200 pounds, pretty close to that. So if I push down on a roughly 20-inch long bar with roughly 200 pounds, you do the math, everyone, that should be about 300 foot-pounds, right? Someone correct me if I'm wrong. I believe that's about what that is. So, again, those bolts are supposed to be 300 foot-pounds. I don't have a torque wrench to measure that precisely, but they should be roughly in there. Again, the DeWalt was able to take those out, which would kind of make sense if it's got 400 foot-pounds, roughly 300 to 400 foot-pounds, we'll call it at that, depending on what number you go by. This was able to take them out. The Bauer, however, was not. So, again, when I gave it the best try, we really went at it the second time there, really tried to, see if it would go. I don't think, maybe if you gave it long enough, everyone, maybe it would, but I don't think so. I don't think that was going to take those bolts out of the tractor. It wasn't going to do that. Again, so DeWalt, definitely the winner here. Now, with that being said, does that mean this is bad? I don't know. When you look at these boxes here, kind of like any of the Harbor Freight boxes, everyone, kind of like the Democratic platform, lots of promises, but don't quite deliver. Anyway, yes, we went there. So, yeah, anyway, this box does a lot of things. Breakaway torque, to me, is the most notable one here. 450 foot-pounds. I don't think it has it. I don't think it has it. And again, unfortunately, I don't really have a good way of testing that precisely. So, with that being said, though, like I said, is this a bad tool? I don't think so, everyone. Depending on what you're going to do with it, if you're just going to be doing vehicle work, not heavy equipment work here, because tractor, I would say, is a little more heavy equipment, this probably is not the tool for you if you're going to be working on that. But for vehicle work, I don't see anything wrong with this, everyone. I would recommend you get the larger battery. Just my recommendation, although it didn't seem to make that much difference with the smaller battery. The smaller battery didn't seem to do quite well as well. So, but I could definitely tell, you could feel it, everyone. When you put the bigger battery on, it does have more oomph. You can feel it. So, but yeah, if you already have, the drill, any of the other Bauer tools, like I said, everyone, I don't think you can go wrong going with this. Again, is it going to be as good as a DeWalt? I think everyone would expect the answer to that one, right? No, of course not. It's not going to be as good as the DeWalt. Is it going to last as long as the DeWalt? Well, I would hope not. Right? I got that right, yeah. And I would hope the DeWalt will last longer. That's what everyone would expect, right? Not saying it will, but again, everyone, it seems like a good tool. I just don't think it quite performs to what Harbor Freight has written on their specifications here. So, Again, RPM and then IPM, I can't really verify those necessarily if they're going to what they say they are, but again, the breakaway torque that one I don't think is quite where it needs to be. It did take off the front tires on the tractor. Of course, took all the lug nuts off my truck, no problem. In fact, it actually seemed to do it a little bit quicker than I think the DeWalt did, which, again, everyone, would make sense because it is impacting so much faster, 1,000 more impacts per minute faster than the DeWalt is. Makes sense that it would take it off faster, so that is kind of nice. Anyway, if you'd like to see me try anything else with this, with the DeWalt for that matter, do something, challenge them, let me know, throw it down in the comments below. If you got some ideas as to how we can maybe put these to head a little bit more. Again, the DeWalt, oh boy, that's a big battery on there. So, again, everyone, thanks for watching. Like I said, throw some comments down below what you think. And till next time, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, by the way.